While learning about the contributions of the major Eastern approaches in psychology like Bhagavad Gita, Buddhism, and integral yoga, it's important to understand the ideology of another Eastern system called as Sufism. Basically, Sufism is an Islamic way of reaching towards God. As Sufism is based on the Islamic religion, let's have a brief background of Islam. Islam is one of the largest and fastest growing world religion. It began with the prophetic vision of Muhammad approximately 1400 years ago in the Arabian Peninsula. It teaches that there is only one God and only one ultimate reality, and they call it as Allah. According to Islam, God is self-existent and self-sufficient. Each and every creation on this earth is made by God. God permeates all creations, but no single individual being can be equal to God entirely. And God can be found at the innermost center of all human beings. Therefore, we can say that all human beings are equal with respect to God. Human beings are uniquely positioned with special potential to consciously experience their unity with the Creator. And who's the Creator here is? They are talking about God or Allah. The word Islam literally means to peacefully surrender oneself. This refers to the process of yielding of human will to the divine wills. That means an individual has to work according to the divine will, being merely just an instrument to its will. And ultimately, the reunion of the two. And what are the two entities here? The human will and the divine will. Sufism is the esoteric or inner dimension of Islam. Here, the term esoteric means the one which is understood by very few number of people. Scholars used to trace the term Sufi to a suf, which means a woolen garment worn by some early Sufis. Some people even argued that the term Sufism is related to the Arabic word Safi, which means purity. According to late medieval mystic Jami, Abd Allah ibn Muhammad ibn al-Hanafiya was the first person to be called a Sufi. As we already know that Sufism is an Islamic way of reaching towards God. It involves meditation and prayers. It emphasizes on the inner self. It focuses on continuous service towards humanity and even renunciation of all kind of worldly pleasures. In Islamic word, Sufism is popularly known as Tasawwuf, while in the Western world, writers termed Sufism as Islamic mysticism. Here, by the term mysticism, they are emphasizing towards spirituality. If we talk about the origin of Sufism, we can go back to 8th century CE when the first known Sufis lived. Then Sufi orders began to establish by 12th and 13th centuries. Now, here the term Sufi orders refers to spiritual paths who having slightly different principles, but their goal is same, that is to be one with the divine. So a number of Sufi orders were established earlier, like one is Suhrawardi order, which originated in Iran, and from Iran it spread to India. Also there was Naqshbandi. It is considered as one of the major Sufi order. It became popular in Central Asia, Kurdistan and Indian subcontinent. If we talk about Naqshbandi, it stresses purification of the heart by constant remembrance of God and by even discourse or by talking with the master. If we talk about Chishti order, it was founded in India by Khwaja Muin al-Din Hasan Chishti, whose shrine is visited by millions of people every year. Sufism was brought to Europe and America by the great Indian Sufi master Hazrat Inayat Khan in 1910s and 1920s from the Chishti tradition, and it brought the message of love, harmony and beauty towards the west also. Sufism is generally considered as the inner dimension of Islam, and it is based on the teachings of Prophet Muhammad and the Holy Quran. Prophet Muhammad was the last messenger of God. In psychology, the main object is to study human being as a wealth of body and soul. Human being can function or act when the soul is able to move it in the form of motive. The same thing is also a part of Islamic studies of Tasawwuf or Sufism. Like even Sufism says that we as human beings are formed by our body and soul. This soul is the reflection of ultimate divine, which uses this body as an instrument. In a book called Essential Sufism, Robert Fraser asserts that Sufism is a very holistic approach as it integrates physical, psychic, and spirit of an individual. Also, he emphasized that Sufism is a spiritual discipline for all people without class and caste. It means Sufism is about embracing all people, irrespective of their caste or class they belong to. Sufis believe that each and every individual on this earth deserves equal love. From Sufis' point of view, humans are made up of souls and bodies that cannot be separated from one another. In Sufi Islamic psychology, there are three central ideas. One is nafs, another is qalb, and the third one is ruh. The nerves are generally considered as our selves, individual selves. We can even call it as our ego or psyche. The qalb is the heart. The heart is here the spiritual heart, not the physical one. And ruh is the spirit. According to Ahmad Mubarak, the term nafs in Al-Quran has many meanings, like nafs means self, and here that self is always found attached to the material world, always indulged in the material desires. Nafs can also define as the totality of people who have physical as well as spiritual dimensions. Sometimes it is considered as the inner side of human that gives birth to a behavior. So basically, nafs are our instincts, desires affected by material world, and those desires give rise to our behavior. According to Sufism, the nafs is one of the psychological stages through which the human psyche need to pass on for its perfection, so that the ecstatic saints can know the ultimate truth. Generally, the nafs has been translated as the self or ego, which is developed from the material nature with which each individual being is born. Also, the five sense organs which we have are considered as the weapons of nafs, which further lead us towards the path of sin. So an individual has to pass several levels of nafs in order to get rid of that sinfulness from within. According to Hassan al-Banna, your nafs is your first battlefield. If you are victorious over it, then you will find the other battlefields easier. That means he was focusing on overpowering your own nafs. In Sufi psychology, there are 7 levels of nafs possessed by each individual, and they are hierarchical in nature. The first one here is tyrannical nafs, which is a kind of negative nafs, which says that every individual has a tendency to commit sin or crime. Then another one is regretful nafs, which makes an individual aware of his tyrannical nafs. Then another one is the inspired nafs. A person with high degree of this nafs get engaged towards meditation and prayers. Then tranquil nafs is in peace. The happy nafs is very happy in nature. The nafs which is pleasing to God. And finally, the sacred nafs. that means reaching towards the stage of self-realization. Now we'll try to understand each of the levels one by one, starting with the tyrannical nafs. We also call it as nafs al-amra. According to Fragger, this nafs is defined as the nafs that governs, dominates, or commands the crime. The term amra literally means repeated commands or habit. So we can also call it as annoying nafs. This is governed by unadulterated intelligence towards something outside ourselves. This type of nerves always tends an individual to do more sinful acts, to get influence of the sinful desires. It is under ignorance, and the most severe characteristic of this level is addiction to self-praise. The next nerve is regretful nerve. Under the control of tyrannical nerve, human beings are essentially insensitive and unaware of the dangers he or she is doing to oneself and even to others. But whenever there is some light of faith or inner understanding grows inside oneself, then he or she begins to realize and think clearly that the person is doing right or wrong. At that point of time, he can make his judgment and be regretful for his or her act. His true self nature rejects bad deeds and then begs for forgiveness of God when he has made a mistake. However, at this level of nerve, we have not been able to change. Although we have recognized our bad deeds and we are regretting for it, but still we have not been able to change it. Why? Because at this stage, person becomes addict, such as ujub. Ujub means to think about greatness of oneself again and again. Hypocritic, having dual face, become religiously rigid. Alcoholism, and sometimes even glamour and the drug addiction. At the inspired level of nerves, human beings begin to feel the true pleasure in praying, meditating, and other spiritual activities. The main characteristic of tranquil nerves is wisdom and love. According to Frager, man will be safe from the great destruction of negative ego when he arrives at this level. With this nerves, man will feel happy and quiet to his Lord. Therefore, his spiritual condition will become very strong, and then everything will be happy and sympathetic towards him. Next is happy nerve, in which human spirit becomes soft and the spiritual growth becomes even more deeper. At this level, man is satisfied with his destiny and all kind of difficulties and tests of life that also comes from God, because he realizes that God's mercy and compassion surround him continuously. So if he firmly believes that everything which is happening in his or her life is with the permission of God or his plan, and that person submissively surrender towards God's will. When human gratitude and love to God are so great, then the bitter thing, according to the laity, will be sweet to them. Here, laity means the ordinary people. The people with happy nerves have certain characteristics like miracles, freedom, sincerity, contemplation, and recollection of God by meditation. The nerves which is pleasing to God is the level of inner marriage between the nerves and the soul. At this level, human beings acquire true inner unity and are able to perceive the world as a holistic entity by entering into the mode of self-denial renam. That means they renounce all the negative tendencies from within, and now they try to associate with their true inner self. The sacred nerves is the level where there is no longer ego or self, but the only left is the union with God, and we can even call it as the moment of ecstasy. According to Frager, this condition can also be called as dead before death. Why? Because an individual soul, when unites with the God, at that time we can say that particular individual has died from his physical form. After nerves, another main stage of Sufism is qalb, which is the spiritual heart, not the physical one. It contains the deeper intelligence and wisdom which holds the deep. The main goal is to develop a heart that is sincere, loving, and compassion, and that heart should be intelligent enough, uh, deeper and more grounded than the rational abstract intelligence of mind. Just as the physical heart supplies blood to the body, the spiritual heart nourishes the soul with wisdom and spiritual light, and it also purifies the gross personality traits. So basically, the qalb or the spiritual heart is mediating between the nerves and the ruh or the spirit. So it is trying to illuminate the nerves so that an individual can get out of that to reach the ultimate reality or to get united with the ruh. According to Sufi psychology, emotions are the form are from the self or nerves, not from the heart. The qalb mediates between nerves and spirit, and its function to control the nerves and direct the man towards the spirit. As I have already explained you, this is qalb and it is mediating between your nerves and your ruh. Next is your ruh, which is your spirit. It is in direct connection with the divine, even if one is unconscious of that connection. Further, that spirit has 7 levels. These levels are mineral, vegetable, animal, human, individual, secret, and secret of souls. If we talk about the very third 3 levels, very foremost 3 levels, these are basically the evolutionary levels before the evolution of this main human form. This mineral level generates inertia in an individual. Vegetable level is about generating desire for food, and the animal level is about sexual and destructive tendencies of an individual. So after passing all these stages, an individual rises to human form. At this human form, an individual is not spiritually awakened. Now in the next stage, that is the individual stage, the spiritual heart is opened up and the soul experiences the complete wholeness and individuality of its own. Finally, the next 2 levels cannot be known by ordinary human mind, and this both will lead to unity with God. That is the ultimate purpose. Each level represents the stages of evolution and the process that it goes through in its growth. The spirit is holistic in nature and it extends to all aspects of the person, that is body, mind, and even the soul. Each level of the spirit has valuable gifts and strength as well as weakness. The goal is to keep the strength and to achieve a balance between these levels, not foregoing the lower ones to focus only on the higher ones. So basically they are trying to say one has to focus on all the levels of ruh and to create a balance among them so that you can reach the ultimate divine. The basic principles of Sufism are called irfan in original Persian, and they are as zikr, that means remembering God at all times. Second is fikr, that means being in the state of wondering about God. Another is seher, that is awakening of soul and body. Then jui, to have exterior hunger, and interior hunger, to persist in search and to obtain the real truth. That means always in that eagerness to know about God from within and from without. Somat is to observe silence. That means to cease thinking and talking about worthless things. Som is about fasting of body, mind, as well as heart. Fasting of body, you all know. Fasting of mind and heart means not to speak ill of someone, not to think bad about anything, not to commit any kind of sin. So those all aspects also come under fasting. Next is khalwat, that is to observe solitude, praying in solitude, externally and internally, and just focusing on God. Khidmat is to serve others, that is dissolving in the truth of master and dissolving in the truth of real existence. In simple words, we can say that a person who is under the mode of khidmat, serve others unconditionally, forgets completely about himself, and believes that God is in each and every individual. The main aim of Sufism is to uh, know the God, to know the self, and to accept the self. The collective experience and knowledge from Sufi practice makes available to us today a thorough understanding of who we are as human beings and what the purpose of our embodied existence here on earth. So basically it focuses on the purpose of life, purpose of an individual life. Sufism also reveals us to the principal aspects of our nature and a way to transform ourselves to become true instruments of manifestation of divine love, divine consciousness, and even divine action. In other words, they are just trying to say uh, the main aim of Sufism is to transform oneself as mere instruments to the divine's will. If the nafs dominate, the heart becomes darkened and weakened. If the forces of souls take over the heart, it becomes transparent and illumined. To know the real depth of human being is about knowing all these three parts. Which three parts? They are here again talking about nafs, qalb, and ruh. So the basic aim is to know them fully and to harmonize them and to unify them so that we can reach the ultimate reality, and then we can become one with the divine. According to Hazrat Inayat Khan, it is the coming of soul from its original place to manifestation and its returning again from this manifested form to its original condition that makes life's journey. That means our life journey is all about coming from the Supreme Soul and then merging into that Supreme Soul. So that was all about the major ideology of Sufism.